Is the Model 3 the best selling or top three? I believe it is, at least top three. I don't know if it's the best selling though. I know Camry's up there. In terms of just passenger car, I was trying to look up a list right now, and it kept giving me lists with F-150s on it and like trucks and SUVs and stuff like that, just of raw passenger cars. Somebody let me know. I'll probably look it up before the end of this video, but let me know in the comment section. So as a long-term investor in this company, man, they're dropping the hammer on everybody. And the thing with Tesla, like Elon Musk said, like anytime we can drop price, we can just pull demand through, right? And that's only because they got that product. Other companies can't do that because they don't have the superior product. When you have the superior product in the market, you can drop price whenever and pull through demand if you want to make that decision, right? You could potentially hurt margins in the short term, but if you want to pull through that demand, and then obviously that hurts your competitors. Because if somebody chooses to buy a Model Y versus or a Model 3 versus buy let's say a Honda CR-V, that's less money in Honda's pockets, more money in Tesla's pockets, right? Bigger brand that Tesla gets. More and more customers to tell their friends and family about, check out my Model Y, look what it can do, right? And so these are just, I wouldn't want to compete with Elon Musk. That's all I have to say. I would not want to compete with that guy. He's vicious. He's absolutely vicious to compete with in this game, folks. Tesla, think about this for a moment. This has been a company that has sold to, let's call it the upper middle class or even like wealthy folks, right? Things like Model S Plaids and Model X's and vehicles like that, right? And I'm telling you, when you're coming under price points after those EV incentives of under $40,000, you're now appealing to the mass market. You're appealing to everybody in the middle class then at that point in time. And that's a game changer for Tesla because it really traditionally hasn't been that company. It's been the company that people that are doing really well drive a Tesla. Now it can become a company that the middle class can afford. And that's when you start hitting crazy big volumes. That's when Tesla's opportunity gets huge, right? And they can start moving massive amounts of units, right? And so when we talk about they're coming in with these sorts of price points, folks, and you also got to think about it. What happens when eventually they got the Mexico Gigafactory up and running? Like, what type of price points could they come in with then? And think about it. They're getting to a place when it comes to Tesla where they're able to produce their vehicles likely for far cheaper because they're getting smarter at everything they do, right? Costs can come down. They can, just do everything more efficient. And then imagine as more and more Teslas hit the road, right? People buy more and more new Teslas. Well, guess what? Used inventory is going to go up over time. As used inventory goes up, right? And then people get a new Tesla and then they sell that old Tesla or whatever. Now you have a new service opportunity because as cars get older, what happens? Things break on them, things go wrong, right? And Tesla has that services opportunity. That's going to mean more people supercharging. It can mean a lot more people that pay for the $10 a month package that I pay for. I think it's $10 or $12 a month, right? Which is like premium connectivity, which shows me like nice satellite maps on my screens and whatnot, right? Is it as valuable as the $10 you could spend joining my Patreon? Absolutely not. But is it still $10 I spend with Tesla on each vehicle? Yes, absolutely it is, okay? And so you think about all those opportunities, right? And those businesses are straight margin. Like, it doesn't cost Tesla anything for my $10 or $12 a month thing that I pay for the Model S and again for the Model X, right? That doesn't cost them anything extra. That's just basically, they create it, they make it work, boom, I buy it, and then every single month, I pay them $10 or $12 per vehicle. So basically every month I'm paying them, let's say roughly $25 a month, right? Think about that for a moment. And so these are just all these opportunities. And then you got things on top of that you can add, like, faster acceleration with your car if you want, and you pay a certain amount, right? Autopilot, I think is the advanced autopilot, right? I think it's $199, or the self-driving, I think it's $199 a month if you want to buy that, right? Some people are going to buy that. Some people like that. I mean, and once again, that's just a straight margin opportunity for Tesla. So when you think about where's Tesla margins, profitability, EPS going long term, oh my gosh, the trend's very exciting. Short term, 2023, it's going to be shaky, right? All these changes in price, everything going on. It's a weaker, obviously, landscape for selling higher ticket items, homes, cars, furniture, luxury goods, anything like that, right? Weaker environment for that. But dang, at the end of the day, when you go to see Cybertruck and whatever margin Cybertruck's going to produce, just understand this, they're likely going to be able to make those Cybertrucks with better and better and better margins next year, the year after, the year after. And they're going to continue to probably find cost savings in ways to make Model 3s, Model Ys cheaper and cheaper. And if you think about the Model 2 opportunity or whatever, that $25,000, under $30,000 car that, you know, maybe can be the one for the mass autopilot program over time, right? In terms of the you know, robotaxi network and whatnot. Like Tesla's been practicing for this. Like I almost view like the 3, the Y, the X, the S, I almost feel like it's all practice for whatever that vehicle is down the road. And a lot of people thought Model 3 was the iPhone moment for Tesla. But what if that actually isn't the iPhone moment? The iPhone moment might be if they can ever produce a vehicle that's under $30,000, because then it's just ridiculous at that point. Okay, I mean that vehicle alone would be, you know, 5 million production a year or something like that if they could eventually do that. 3 million, 5 million easy at that point in time, right? Elon Musk is sacrificing margins, sacrificing short-term profitability for the long-term gain of, you know, scale, market share, getting to millions and millions of vehicles sold per year, right? And obviously he wants to grow services business, meaning things like Tesla Insurance, premium connectivity, you know, upgrades to your car if you want, faster acceleration, all that stuff, right? Autopilot, as far as self-driving software, right? All these various things. And many other products and services that fit in that services bucket that they haven't even launched yet, but they will launch over this next few years, right? That no one's talking about right now. And so it's very clear what he's doing here. So the short term operating margins and gross margins aren't going to be exciting. They're just not. And so if you're in the stock just for the short term margins and gross margins, operating margins, things like that, you know, it's not going to be the most exciting time. I can tell you that. Because I think he's going to continue this entire year to just focus on scale, be impossible to compete with. But with that saying, I think Tesla's going to continue to take massive market share over this next, not just year, but several years. And I think he's going to build a Tesla that's impossible to compete with. Not just because they're tech, not just because they're supercharger network, not just because they're mobile service fleet where they come and fix your car in your garage instead of having to take it in and be super inconvenient like many others do out there, but because price-wise, you're not going to be able to compete with them price-wise. And so when I look at it, I mean, everything's on track long-term here. Short-term is not going to be exciting from net income side, from margin side. It's clear. But the long-term, everything's on track here. Now, in terms of stock price, right? I would love this stock price to get back to the $100, $150 range. I would love that, okay? And be a heavy buyer of the stock once again. I have my doubts about the stock going back there. And the reason being is in order to get the stock price back to that $100, $150 range, going to need longs to sell out of the stock. I'm not so convinced longs really are that worried, just to be honest. I think they're going to understand what Elon's up to here and what Tesla's up to, and that the long-term situation is still intact. So although I would love it to get back to those price ranges, I have a lot of doubts about it even going there, because I just don't think I don't think longs are really phased by this. It's a different shareholder base. And Amazon's always had the same shareholder base where they just are very unfazed by this short-term margins hits and things like that, right? So that's kind of my thought process in regards to that. So if anything, I'd be a buyer of Tesla rather than a seller of Tesla, as long as I have a long-term outlook in regards to this company, right? Everything's on track. So